you some more of the thinking of the opposition ahead of tonight's budget. Joining us live in Canberra is the Shadow Finance Minister Jane Hume. Appreciate your time. Thank you. We are seeing, of course, this surplus tonight. Jim Chalmers has confirmed this today. That's something to celebrate, isn't it? Does it hurt a bit to see a Labor government in a position to be able to hand one down, the first in 15 years?
Ash, the real test for the government is not just delivering a surplus tonight, because let's face it, as Angus Taylor said, a drover's dog could deliver a surplus in these circumstances because of the strong economic position that was left by the coalition government, low unemployment, a growing economy, plus that high inflation is causing bracket creep and those high commodity prices. It means that there is revenue just sailing through the door. If you couldn't deliver a surplus with that amount of revenue, well, when can you? And in fact, that's exactly what we're seeing, because it's a one-off surplus. The real test for Labor is whether they can deliver a sustainable surplus in future years as well. And the only way they can do that is if they rein in that innate urge to spend, to tax and spend, a traditional Labor budget, and that's exactly what we're expecting tonight.
Let's look at taxing. I'm keen for your view on the revamp of the petroleum resource rent tax, the PART. We heard Olivia touching on this in her report just a few minutes ago. We saw the Teals there describing this as a missed opportunity. They're arguing essentially that the fact that the gas companies seem pretty happy with the outcome mean that the result is really too weak from Labor. Would you have liked the government to go on harder on that?
Well, the PRRT was something that was assessed by the Callaghan Review in the last government, and it was certainly something that we considered. But unfortunately, that was before things like a price cap on gas. It was before the safeguard mechanism was introduced. This is just another hit on our energy sector, which is going to push up prices further, paying those electricity bills, paying those gas bills so much harder for ordinary Australians. The only way you can sustainably bring down the cost of energy is to make sure there is new supply in the system. And by taxing more, by putting in those market mechanisms or those government interventions through price caps, essentially you're just turning new supply away, making investment look elsewhere for opportunity, because it's just too hard to do business in Australia. And that's a real shame. That's the opportunity lost, because Australians will end up paying the price with their electricity bills.
Jane Hume, no doubt a big job for you this week is helping Peter Dutton crafting his budget reply in a couple of days. Give us some hints. Is it so early in the election cycle that we shouldn't expect any big revolutionary announcements from him in that budget reply? Will it be more of a standard fare? What can we expect?
Well, I don't want to preempt what will be in the budget reply on Thursday night. Obviously, much of it will be in response to the budget that we're going to see tonight. What we do know, though, is that those cost of living measures that Jim Chalmers is announcing today, really, I think Angus Taylor described it as a band-aid on a bullet hole, because unless this government can keep inflation under control, well, then it's simply not doing its job. It's raising the white flag and saying inflation isn't our responsibility. The RBA can do all the heavy lifting there. Australians will pay the price because they'll see their mortgages continue to increase. Inflation is the greatest driver of the cost of living crisis in this country. It's a thief in the night. It erodes your purchasing power. It keeps your real wages low. It eats at your savings, and it actually reduces your standard of living. If Jim Chalmers is serious about improving the lives of Australians, all Australians, rather than just a select few, then maintaining and actually reducing inflation should be the number one priority of this budget. That's not what we're hearing. And that will be a response of the opposition on Thursday night.